Welcome to Love Your Life After Divorce, the podcast where you'll learn everything you need to know to rebuild your life after divorce from the inside out. Let's dive in. Hey there, how are you? No, really, how are you really doing? I know we ask each other that question all the time, but where are you right now after divorce? Where are you in your healing process? After talking with and coaching so many divorced women, I have identified that there are really some very distinct stages of divorce recovery. There are these stages that most women typically go through as they heal and recover after divorce. I've actually created a free guide that lays out these stages very clearly. It shows you where you are in your divorce journey and what you need to do next in order to move successfully through that stage and go on to the next one so that you can fully heal and move on after divorce in a healthy way without trying to push past something or skip over a certain part because it's hard. So, whether or not you are like fixated on your ex and what he's doing, maybe even with his new relationship he's in, or if you're ruminating over the past and thinking about all the things you wish that you had done differently or that your ex had done differently so that you could have prevented the divorce, or maybe you're at the stage where you're excited about your future. You're looking ahead and you can see how your life can be really awesome after the divorce. So, whichever stage you're in, this free guide I have will really help you understand more clearly where you are and what you need to do next. So, I'm going to put the link to this free guide in the show notes. If you want it, just click that and get the guide, and it will help you have a better understanding of where you are in your divorce healing process. So, today, let's talk about how we can best support our kids after the divorce. I hear a lot of women agonize over how to tell their kids they're getting a divorce. They seek out information about the best way to go about this, which is awesome. It's so great that we realize that telling our kids that we're getting a divorce is a big deal and it's a lot for them to handle and to take in and to process. But telling our kids that we're getting a divorce is only the very first step in the process of supporting them and helping them move through the divorce with more ease and with the least amount of pain and suffering possible. And so it's just important to realize that your kid's adjustment to the divorce is ongoing. And I don't say this to scare you, but it's just important to be aware that kids process things in different ways and on different timelines. It may be a year or 2 years or 5 years after your divorce, and your kids may bring something up seemingly out of the blue. Maybe they saw something on a TV show, or maybe they've been at a friend's house and they realize that their parents have a different dynamic than theirs do. And so you never know what might trigger your kids to come up with a question for you, either about the divorce process or about why you got a divorce, or they may experience some emotions that come up that they have been either pushing down for a while or just on their unique journey. That's when that emotion was supposed to surface. And so it's just important to always be available and give your kids permission to express their feelings and their desires at any time. Don't come up with some timeline in your mind that you think that, oh, they should be fully over the divorce by now, or they should be well adjusted to this new life we have. Kids move through the process in different ways, and it's important that we're always there to support them. So, for example, your kid may all of a sudden say something like, "Why can't I live with dad full time?" Or, "I wish you guys hadn't gotten a divorce." Or they may just ask outright, "Why did you get divorced?" "I wish we all lived in the same house. I hate going back and forth." Or something like, "I don't like going to dad's. Dad is mean to me or yells at me." It is really hard to hear any of these statements from our kids at any time during the divorce process. But if and when these kinds of statements come up, It is so imperative that we give our kids the emotional safety that they need, that we never judge them or give them the idea that them asking a question is wrong or unacceptable. We should never give our kids the idea that their questions are super upsetting to us and that we don't want to hear it. We should always be open to their need to process the divorce and to adjust to their new life. Instead of just coming straight out with a question or a comment, like I just mentioned, your kids may also just show how they're feeling with their behavior. You may notice that one of your kids seems more angry or withdrawn, or maybe starts treating you differently than they have. I know it's really tempting as parents to just think about the way our kid is showing up and whether or not we find the behavior acceptable or how it affects us as a parent. When you have that feeling that your child is being disrespectful to you, or is not listening or following directions, or being pleasant and easy to get along with, instead of focusing sometimes on the behavior, we have to look at what's underneath that. Why is your child all of a sudden showing up differently? There's something going on there under the surface. And if you can be open and a safe place for your child to come, then you can uncover what's really going on and help and support them with those emotions and with those questions or worries that they may be having. The truth is, all of our kids are impacted by our divorces. We can try our very best to create the most supportive, nurturing environment for them. We can go out of our way to make the transition and the new life for them as normal and as smooth as possible, but they are going to be affected. And it's our job to support them during this. It's our job to let them have their own feelings and their own experience of the divorce. When they bring up questions, we need to answer these questions, but in a very age appropriate way. Don't give them way too much information or overshare about things that happened that led up to the divorce or things that happened during the divorce process. They're children and they're not going to fully understand adult situations. It's not their job to understand exactly why the divorce happened or who was responsible for what. If you're the one who chose divorce, it may be really tempting to want to explain to your kids why you made this choice because you may see them hurting or confused in certain ways, and you may feel like the villain. You may feel like they blame you for something negative that's happened in their life because of the divorce. And it's so tempting to want to justify our choice to them, to want to explain to them so that they'll understand and support us so that we no longer feel guilty or responsible. But that is not your child's job. That's your job. Your inner work of overcoming any kind of guilt or doubt about choosing divorce is up to you. Don't put that responsibility on your kids. Simply answer any question they have about the divorce in a way that gives them enough information or enough reassurance to feel better, but not too much information. And I know that's very subjective and you have to feel it out. But one of the ways you can do this is to check in with yourself. Like I said, if you're feeling guilty or bad about yourself, or somehow that you are entirely responsible for your child's experience, and you feel a need to make that right somehow or get your child to understand and support your decision, then that's an indicator that your motives are not exactly the best in this situation. You should keep at the top of your mind, your highest priority, your child's well being. What would be best for your child in this situation? How can you best support your kid as they go through this transition time, as they process this change? On the flip side, if your ex is the one who wanted the divorce, or if your ex cheated on you and you feel very angry about this, it may be really tempting to want to tell your kids everything that happened, to want them to be on your side. You may have this desire for them to see their dad for who he really is. But I need you to think about this. Would that be in the best interest of your child, or are you trying to make yourself feel better? Sometimes it can really hurt when we know some of the awful things our ex has done, and then to see our children idolize him. But let me tell you, I promise the truth will come out. As your kids grow and mature and get older, they will see your ex for who he is. But it's important to remember that your relationship with your ex is completely different than your kids' relationship with their father. Those are two very different and distinct relationships, and it's easy to get them confused. But it's important to separate out your own experience with your ex, your own relationship with him, and your kids' relationship with their dad. And it's your job as the mom to foster a good relationship between your kids and their dad. Now, I'm not saying it's your job to make their relationship good. That's up to your ex. But what I'm saying is you can foster a more positive relationship between the two of them, or you can create a dynamic that causes a lot of conflict or resentment or anger toward the other parent. So just think about your motivation when you're talking to your kids about your divorce or about your ex, and just keep the focus on their well being and what would be best for them. And having a loving, supportive relationship with both parents is what's best for your kids. So, when your kids come to you with a specific question, or if they throw out a comment about the divorce or about your ex or about you that is a little bit jarring or surprising to you, it's important to get underneath what's really going on. For example, your child may say something like, I want to live with you and not dad. But he actually may mean, I'm mad at dad for making me brush my teeth and do my homework. Your child may ask you, why did you get divorced? But what they really may be asking is, did I do something to cause the divorce? Your child may say something like, I want to live with dad full time. But what he means is, I wish I could play with my best friend who lives down the street from dad every single day. Or I wish I could sleep in later in the mornings instead of having to get up early to commute to school. So, the important thing here is when your child throws out a statement, it's so easy sometimes to feel defensive or to feel angry or to just feel awful about how they're feeling. But in that moment, it's important to remain very open and supportive of your child. Ask open ended questions. Like I said, try to understand what's underneath the question. What else are they really thinking and feeling? What is the deeper question here? The more open and available you can remain to your child in this situation, the better. Like I said, just ask questions to understand them more. When you become a parent, you realize that you love another human being more than you ever thought possible. As parents, we will do anything we can to prevent our children from feeling pain. This goes for any situation, but especially during a divorce or when you see your kids struggling emotionally because of the divorce, it can really be devastating, especially if you're the one who chose divorce and you feel somehow responsible for your children's emotions. But the truth is, we really and truly cannot rescue our kids from all pain in life. We can't prevent emotional suffering for our kids. It's normal to want to shield them from all pain in life, but that is not realistic. We feel pain when our kids feel pain. And part of us wanting to help them is us wanting to prevent ourselves from feeling pain. We want to alleviate the pain we feel when we see our kids struggling, when we see them suffering. Sometimes we want to solve it as quickly as possible and just get them out of the pain. But what's important is teaching them that it's okay to feel pain, that being sad or being angry or being frustrated or wishing things were different is part of life. We need to model for our kids that it's okay to be upset sometimes, that feelings come and go, that changes are hard sometimes to go through. So just give yourself and your child that time and space to process what they need to process. I promise they will not be sad forever. They will not be struggling forever. But when you can show them and teach them along the way that it's okay to sit with sadness, that it's okay to cry for a little bit, that it's okay to express anger or to ask questions, then you're giving them a very important life skill. Teaching them how to process painful or confusing emotions is a skill that will serve them for the rest of their lives. You can't prevent them from ever feeling pain, but you can teach them how to handle it. Kids can really come through something like a divorce much stronger, more resilient, more capable. They can understand that they know how to handle hard things. And even though it's never our wish for our kids to go through painful times, it really can serve them in the long run. And this is important to remember because in that moment, you're just going to want to make them stop feeling sad or angry or upset. When you can hold that space for them, when you can allow them to express whatever they need to express, when you can ask questions and get to the deeper questions, like I mentioned earlier, when you can understand what they're really asking, then you can figure out what they really need. And that's what you can provide for them. They may think in the moment that they need to live with dad full time, but maybe what they need is more friends or more social activities or a way to play with their friends who live in dad's neighborhood more often when they're at your house. Maybe they need reassurance that they did nothing at all to cause the divorce, that no one is upset with them, that their behavior didn't cause you or your ex to make any decision about your relationship. Maybe they need more consistency or stability. Maybe they're feeling like they're being tugged and pulled all over the place. A personal example of this is when my ex and I first got a divorce, our custody agreement was something like I had the kids every Monday, Tuesday. He had the kids every Wednesday, Thursday. And then we alternated Friday through Sunday. Now, we did this from the get go because we thought it would be best for everyone. We didn't want to go a whole week without seeing our kids, and we didn't think our kids wanted to go a whole week at a time without seeing each of us. So we created this schedule because we thought it was best. But probably about a year after our divorce, our kids were expressing to us that they felt like they were constantly packing up their things and going back and forth, and they didn't have time to settle into one place. And it just made them feel unstable. And so we heard them, we listened to that, and we changed our custody arrangement. We decided to go 1 week at a time. And we also agreed that each of us could see the kids during the week that the other one had them at least once. And so we would have dinner all together, either at one of our houses or out at a restaurant, just so the other parent could spend some time with the kids when they were at the other one's house. So you might have to make a logistical adjustment or change a circumstance that's happening, or you may just need to provide emotional support. Like I said, if your child needs reassurance that they didn't do anything at all to cause the divorce, then it's your job to explain that to them, to make it very clear to them that the reasons for the divorce have absolutely nothing to do with them or their behavior or anything they did. So just remember, your kids are looking at the divorce and this new normal that they have through the lens of their own experience, through their childlike brain that they have, where they have limited understanding. They are not adults. They don't understand adult relationships, and they shouldn't. And it's not your job to try to teach them that right now. As they grow and mature, they will go through different levels of understanding, and that's just a process that they have to go through. The best way that you can support your kids through the divorce process is to be loving, to be supportive, to be open and available, to give them permission to express what they need to express, to answer any questions they have in an age appropriate manner, to get along with your ex as much as possible so that your kids don't feel like they're in the middle, so they don't feel torn between you, so they don't feel like they're in the middle of a war. Just remember that the way your kids process and heal after divorce is their own unique journey. Try to drop any preconceived ideas or opinions you have about where they should be in this process and how quickly they should heal or move on. Just be there for them and be as loving and available as possible. This will give your kids the best chance to heal and adjust to the divorce in a healthy way. Did you know that there are 5 distinct stages to healing after divorce? Which stage are you currently in? And how can you successfully move to the next stage? Find out by getting the free roadmap so you can heal and move on faster after divorce. Simply go to my website, angiewilsoncoaching.com, and click Get the Free Roadmap.